AoC Meeting number 27, let's get started. First up is my topics. Main topic was about the sustain meta. Team comps with heavy sustain are an absolute pain to fight right now, whether it's double support or several characters with lots of self-sustain, or both. I've gotten lots of complaints about them, and every time I face those kind of comps, I want to turn off the game, so I feel you guys 100%. The main two solutions I've seen the community talk about are either returning Hi-Rez to 90% and returning old healing numbers along with it. I found this pretty unlikely, but I brought it up anyway. And the other was reducing the price of Hi-Rez again, like in the Season 3 PTS. Now we did get this increased on purpose, if you guys remember, since supports felt really bad to play. Supports have been buffed quite a bit since then though, so reducing the COD price now wouldn't hurt them to that same degree again. The devs said that even pro players have been wanting to talk to them about the sustain meta. They met with the pros a few days after this AoC meeting too. Now the devs don't want to revert it to 90%. They think Hi-Rez is in an unfixable situation where it'll always dictate their entire game. However, they are actively looking into this topic to figure out how to address it. They want to nerf self-sustain characters, since several forms of self-sustain were not nerfed along with COT in Season 3. They're also considering some ideas like buffing COT by 5% or lowering the price. They also want to give some frontlines some more utility and damage back into their kits so their damage can stick more, since in this meta it doesn't really stick at all with all the healing going around. I also brought up a few bugs and oversights, nothing like too big. One was pretty big though, and I don't want to bring it up because I don't want it to be abused, so we're going to skip over that one. I also asked about the old Grok ranked skin. People noticed that for the entire season it was listed as an epic, meaning that it would come back, but then it was turned into a limited skin when the season ended, meaning it'll never come back. So some players felt robbed because of that, because they thought it was going to come back. I also wanted to be positive that the EV ranked skin was labeled correctly. It's listed as an epic, and I was wondering if it would turn into a limited one too. The Grok one is supposed to be limited and will not come back. The EV one isn't going to be limited though, so it will come back after it goes away. It's supposed to be an epic. It'll probably take a long while to come back once it goes though. Next is Yago's topic about buffing Atlas and Grok, and nerfing Bomb King and Androxus. He felt that in addition to the weapon buffs that were brought up in the past, Atlas's ult could also be improved since it does make him very vulnerable. He recommended doing one or two of these things, not all of them of course. DR in his ult, making his ult attacks come out faster, removing his self-slow, or making his skills usable in ult. They don't want to do the fourth one, but they think reducing his self-slow and making the ult attacks come out faster could be something they can make happen. As for DR, they want to avoid adding DR to ultimates unless they have a good case for adding it. Like with Corvus ult for example, since he goes up into the air and holds himself there, making himself incredibly vulnerable. As for Grok, Yago recommended increasing the health of totems, giving him a card like Ying's where the totem gets a reduced cooldown if killed by enemy players, and increasing the base healing of the totem. The devs said they do have plans for Grok and his totems. One thing they definitely want to look into is making his totem placement feel better, because right now it's pretty wonky half the time when you go to place it. Of course, they are also looking at some options for making him an all-around better healer. For Andro and Bomb King, Yago feels like these two could use some nerfs. Either weapon damage nerfs, longer cooldowns, or card nerfs. The devs do think there is justification to nerf Bomb King. He's winning at a high rank across all elos in competitive play. With Andro, it's different though. They made him good not too long ago, and even then it took time for him to surface. He also isn't winning a ton compared to other characters. They don't think he's in a bad place right now. Next up is Libra's topic about some nerfs to Andro, Maeve, and Talus. Libra recommended increasing the fall off when using Cursed Revolver. The dev said that back when the talent had more fall off, he was never picked and was said to be too weak. Now if you guys remember, this was 100% true. I'm the one who got them to go through with the fall off buff in the first place. And it was only after that that Androxus started to get picked again at a high level. Next is Maeve. Libra put out a Twitter poll about what Maeve talent players wanted nerfed. Street Justice was the one they picked, so Libra suggested reducing the threshold of the talent from 35 to 25%. The devs think part of the frustration from this talent comes from how easy it is to use. They're willing to keep an eye on the talent, but they don't really want to mess with it right now. For Talus, Libra recommended nerfing his self-sustained. He has two powerful lifesteal cards, and they have been making him pretty difficult to deal with since the COT nerfs. The devs do plan to nerf some of his self-sustain cards in the next update. Glenzier's topic is not a topic that can be talked about publicly, so we're going to be skipping over that one. Next are Gabinette's topics. One is about letting you see player ping in the scoreboard. I'm assuming it's like the green, yellow, and red bars that you see in other games. Also, he brought up seeing other players as ranks. The dev said having ping and ranks visible to other players often leads to toxicity in multiplayer team-based games, so it's something they want to avoid. His other topic was having splash art in the skin menu. This is something Thunderbrush talked about before, and he said that upkeeping that would be very difficult due to resources and whatnot. This time around, the devs basically said the same thing. His other topic was about selling items. The devs said they probably wouldn't add a sell option. They would rather do an undo button for before you leave spawn. They said selling items would lead to exploitable gameplay. Players would buy lots of tier 1 items at the start, and then sell them later when they can get enough for a tier 3 one, and that would basically be the meta for items. His last topic was about adding a surrender option in ranked after 5 minutes. If you guys remember, I brought this up in the past as well. It's basically the same answer as it was back then. Surrender option leads to a lot of toxicity, and Paladins games aren't long enough to justify adding it anyway. Next up is Bitey's topic about balance. Several projectile characters aren't getting picked at a high level because they're too difficult to make work in this meta. The devs think that this is because of how powerful some of the hit scan characters are right now. They're easier to confirm damage with while also being all around more effective than several of the projectile characters. They don't want to buff projectiles while nerfing the hit scans because that would create another imbalance and basically flip the two. They rather bring hit scans down first and then see where the projectiles land. Bitey also brought up some item stuff. Master Riding is really powerful for its price. Apparently pros prio this over the other yellow items. He also felt that Resilience could use some love because a lot of players are complaining about CC right now. The devs think there is justification for messing with Master Riding. They want to keep the effect itself powerful because you don't spend a lot of the game on your mount, so when you are on it they want you to really feel the difference. However, they are considering increasing the price of Master Riding to $250. They do think this problem is isolated to high-level play, but they want to tackle it regardless. As for Resilience, they really like it being at 60%. They want to avoid bringing micro-stuns back. They don't want the item to fully render CC useless. They think that reducing the price of Resil to make it more accessible early on is the way to go. Bitey also talked about possibly buffing Pyromania for Amani. The devs honestly want to make it so you get the AoE on your fireball all the time. So you could play Blaster Amani if you really wanted to. Obviously there would be some rebalancing for the talent to go along with that. When they said that, several of us got pretty excited because that idea sounds absolutely amazing. The Blaster player in me is really hoping they go through with it. Bitey also felt that Bomb King's Poppy Bomb should be affected by Cripple. The devs are willing to look into that one. Then for Torvald, Bitey felt that his weapon needs less falloff. The devs do still want to take a deeper dive into Torvald, but they're willing to look into giving him less falloff for now. Next up is Couch's topic about in-game items for content creators, like content creator logos as avatars and stuff like that. Okay, so I can't really go into detail with this, but basically what the devs said is there's a lot of legal hurdles that make it incredibly difficult for them to do this. So I wouldn't expect it. Anyway, that's it, that's all the topics. There were a few more, but I can't publicly talk about those. But yeah, like always, if you guys have any feedback, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And that's pretty much it, guys. I want to thank y'all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye.